Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, Florida justices decided to include 2 new amendments on this year's ballot. We tell you about the issues and their decision.
And really make decisions now that'll make sure that it's still like a sustainable place to live in another few generations.
We tell you how the increase in population could potentially affect the environment around Gainesville.
And we have a warm few days ahead of us until storms return this week. We'll give you the full weather forecast to plan out your week. First at 5 starts now.
First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
For months, we've brought you coverage surrounding abortion rights in Florida after the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Now the Florida Supreme Court has decided whether to include voters' decisions. Welcome to WUFT's First at 5. I'm Serra, Sowers.
And I'm Jake Lynch. In addition to abortion rights, there is an amendment that could legalize the use of recreational marijuana. There's been debate for months about the inclusion of both amendments on the ballot.
The court reached its decision to allow voters to decide on both of the amendments just an hour ago.
The state Supreme Court allowed the 2 initiatives related to abortion rights and the adult use of marijuana as of just an hour ago. Advocates and opponents alike both predicted the adult use of marijuana ballot language would be approved based on the most recent judicial hearing earlier this year. Voters now have a chance to pass the initiative, which would give adults over 21 the option to purchase marijuana from dispensaries without a medical license. It needs a supermajority of 60% to pass. Debate over abortion on the ballot has been even more controversial. Voters will need to reach 60% in November to pass that initiative.
Accused of shooting a woman following a sexual assault. Authorities say Larry Howard sexually assaulted a woman Sunday morning after she refused his advances. Law enforcement says Howard demanded she take him to the hospital for an injury when an argument led him to jump out of the car. When the woman returned later to pick him up, authorities say he began shooting at her car. Howard is charged with sexual assault, domestic battery, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Legal representation for the Celebration Point Shopping Plaza says citizens shouldn't expect the bankruptcy process to impact businesses. The plaza in Southwest Gainesville is being represented by the Orlando-based lawyer Scott Schuker. Schuker says that it's likely the plaza will still exist post-bankruptcy because creditors are working to reconstruct the combined debt load of over $100 million. There are about 10 Celebration Point entities in Gainesville, and the rest of them will not be affected. We start your week with warmer temperatures taking over the area. We are live from I-75 where you can see the sun shining through. Expect the sunny skies to stay with you for a few more days. Forecaster Matthew Clark is tracking out these temperatures before the chill hits us back again.
Yeah, taking a look at that campus cam right now, you can see some overcast skies right now. Temperatures in the 80s right now. Temperatures are going to start to decrease. Winds coming from the west-southwest around 7 miles per hour. Just taking a further look at those temperatures right now, you can see 80 in Gainesville, like I said, 82 in Ocala, and 82 up in Jacksonville. For the most part, we are feeling a little bit warmer, and those temperatures are noticeably different. You can see the 24-hour temperature change right now, 6 degrees in Gainesville and 6 in Ocala. For the most part, if you do step outside tonight, you will feel it is more humid, it is more warm. It's just going to be a warmer, humid night. It's also windier. You to step outside, 18 mile per hour gusts we've seen in Gainesville, even 20 in Cross City, and we just got a recording of 20 in Gainesville. And that's a part of this system that we've been tracking. You can see some overhead cloud coverage right now from this system, and most of those storms are up in Oklahoma, and we will be tracking those coming up.
If you are traveling through Columbia County tomorrow morning, you may want to add a few extra minutes to your commute. There is a prescribed burn in effect tonight in the areas east of Lake City near US 90. Drivers are urged to use caution as you may find smoke on the roadways and low visibility overnight and through tomorrow morning.
New data by the American Library Association reveals a record high in book banning efforts. These censorship efforts almost doubled since 2022. More than 4,000 books have been challenged in schools and libraries in 2023 across the nation. And in Florida, libraries remain empty. The data reveals Florida as one of the leaders in book banning efforts. According to the American Library Association Office for Intellectual Freedom, 2,672 book titles were challenged in 2023. Many Many of those titles include narratives surrounding LGBTQIA+ and BIPOC experiences. Florida ranks among the top states in book banning efforts, along with Texas.
If you're wanting to transfer into the University of Florida, your acceptance might be secured. Santa Fe College has partnered with UF to guarantee direct admission to students majoring in liberal arts and sciences. According to officials, the programs include physics, sustainability studies, and history. Students must earn their associate's degree and complete the requirements to qualify.
Coming up on WUFT News' First at 5, the local community celebrates the start of Earth Month with an event about turtles.
A solar eclipse will cast a shadow across the nation. We tell you what you need to know about the eclipse and how you can witness it as we return at First at 5 returns.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Population is on the rise in Gainesville. WUFT's Kino joins us live in the studio to tell us about the ways this trend impacts the local government.
The World Population Review reports Gainesville is growing at a rate of 1.03% annually, one of the largest for a city of this size. This trend poses issues of resource scarcity, water purity, and land preservation. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Florida added over 365,000 residents in 2023.
Over 1,000 people per day. That's what's coming into Florida.
Executive Director of Florida Defenders of the Environment, Jim Gross, says this never-before-seen increase in Florida's population threatens the environment.
We are experiencing a population explosion. Humans have a profound impact by consuming resources.
Resources like clean air, land, and fresh water. Alachua Conservation Trust Executive Director Tom Kay expects this trend to keep trending.
I used to think that we had like another 20 to 25 years before we'd start feeling like the real crunch of people, and it's happening now.
Rather than snowbirds migrating down south, Tom says people are moving inward towards the center of the state.
People are coming down to South Florida, the coastal areas, and because of rising insurance costs or just the cost of living or congestion along our coast, people are coming back into Alachua County and the surrounding counties.
To combat the negative effects of population increases, Tom urges local government to do one thing: plan.
Think about not where your population is today, but where's it going to be in 10 or 15 or 20 years. People like to say, like, we got plenty of parks. We got enough parks in our areas. We got enough places for schools right now. Well, that's true, but you're not really thinking about what it's going to be like.
Tom says that's why the conversation now is important. Tom encourages people to get involved in environmental conservation groups and voice concerns to local government. Live in the studio, Kino, WUFT News.
Residents in 15 states from Texas to Maine are going to experience a total eclipse 1 week from today. Some are calling this the greatest solar eclipse the U.S. has seen in its lifetime. But will it be the greatest Gainesville has ever seen? Not necessarily. The last time Americans saw an eclipse of this kind was 7 years ago. Only places along what is called the path of totality will experience a full eclipse for several minutes. Officials with UF Astronomy Department say the rest of the country, including here in Florida, will get a different amount of the sun covered depending on how far they are from the path.
Here in Gainesville, we won't see totality, which means that the sun won't be completely blocked by the moon. We'll only get to see about between 60 and 65% coverage, meaning that as the moon is crossing in front of the sun, in between the sun and Earth, then it's going to block out some of the light.
Director Almeida also told me people often take eclipses as an invitation to stare at the sun. That can cause damage to your eyes, which is why she said she and her department are hoping to host a viewing event on UF campus where they will offer proper viewing glasses. Director Almeida says that normal sunglasses will not cut it in terms of protection. If you want to see the eclipse, it will start here at 1:45 p.m., peaking at 3:02, ending around 4:20 in the afternoon. If you want to witness this natural wonder, your local planetarium has you covered. The Kika Silva Planetarium and Alachua Astronomy Club are hosting a free viewing event starting at 1:45. You can get complimentary solar viewers while supplies last.
A Florida non-for-profit advocacy group organizes an event to kick off Earth Month. The Florida Springs Council hosted Turtles and Tunes on Saturday. It took place at First Magnitude Brewing Company. The event featured live music, animal interactions, and the premiere of Gopher Games. The short documentary focuses on the protection of gopher tortoises. The FSC advocates for the restoration of Florida Springs. Leaders say the goal of Turtles and Tunes was to promote the importance of preserving local springs.
So we want to spread that awareness, but also let people know what's harming the springs and what they can do to protect them.
The FSC will host its Angry Manatee Earth Day soiree on April 19th at the Woolly.
If you're looking to hike in Ocala tomorrow, you may want to double check your trails. The Ocala Wetland Recharge Park is closing a few trails and exhibits for subsidence repairs. The closures begin tomorrow, but the park is still open from sunrise to sunset. The parking lot, restrooms, and water fountains will remain open through the repairs. For a map of all trail and exhibit closures, you can go to the Ocala Wetland Recharge Park's Facebook page or their website. The maps will also be posted on information signs within the park.
If you have a dream to teach, now may be your chance. Alachua County Public Schools is holding a job fair for prospective teachers on Saturday, April 13th at Gainesville High School. The district is looking for teachers for all grade levels and subjects. Walk-ups are welcome, but candidates are encouraged to register early for the event. If you can find more information, including how to register at the Alachua County Public Schools website. The PK Young Developmental Research School's robotics team was honored at the regional competition in Tallahassee. The Roaring Riptides earned the Engineering Inspiration Award at the robotics competition. They competed against 44 teams from 5 different states. The Riptides were honored for their outreach and initiatives and interactive events, such as sharing resources with other schools and including assistive technology to increase accessibility. The students also received a NASA-sponsored registration to continue competing at the next level. At the end of April, the team will travel to the 2024 First Robotics World Championship competition in Houston, Texas.
Yeah, and with that total solar eclipse being just a week away, you can see some cloud coverage is possible. I will also be tracking our next system coming up.
WUFT-TV News.
I'm tracking these storms as part of a low pressure system that's out west right now. Just in Oklahoma, you can see some really strong storms flaring up just north of Oklahoma City, bringing severe thunderstorm warnings and watches to that area. And it is going to also bring some severe risks into parts of the eastern part of the United States, really concentrated in parts of Ohio, spanning all the way down into northern Alabama. And that is going to be the system that is going to start to impact us on Wednesday. Really strong storms could be possible, as we see there. But just taking a look at the temperatures right now in our part of the area, you could see 79 in Gainesville, 82 up in Jacksonville, and 82 in Ocala. We're going to start to decrease those temperatures as we head into the evening hours. But right now, we are feeling a little bit toasty, and those temperatures have been noticeably warmer as of late. And it's also because of the south-southwest winds moving from the Gulf, bringing in some moisture. 20-mile-per-hour gusts located in Gainesville. Also in Cross City, we have seen some 20-mile-per-hour gusts, and it is just bringing in that moisture from the Gulf, really noticeable too. You can also see on the hour-by-hour, we're going to start to dip into the lower 60s as we part into the evening hours and into the early morning hours, but it is not going to be nearly as cool and dry as we have been seeing, much more warm and humid. And you can see those high temperatures on Tuesday. You can see 87, ooh, that's a little hot over there, and 86 in Gainesville and Jacksonville. Much warmer temperatures are going to set up this front as we see on our Wednesday. Now just taking a look at the future radar right now, though, you can see Monday night these storms are really going to start to flare up in parts of Missouri, Oklahoma City, and those long line of storms are going to start to span its way down into parts of Jacksonville and into the south, into Tallahassee as we head into the Wednesday morning hours. You can see Tallahassee all the way up into parts of southeast Georgia, seeing some really strong storms. And as those cells start to move towards Gainesville, Wednesday afternoon around 1, possibly noon as well, you can see those really strong lines of storms start to move through Gainesville, Jacksonville, and Ocala. As we head into the Wednesday evening, you can see a couple residual storms start to move by, but that's really it for the rest of the week right now. You can see the 90% chance of rain on our Wednesday, but for the most part, it's going to be a part of that cold front that we are seeing that's going to bring those cooler temperatures down into the 50s and even 40s on our Friday morning. It's going to start to heat back up on our Saturday, but just a beautiful rest of the week coming up.
This sunny Easter weekend, Gator sports rose up to the challenge all across the board. Plus, baseball and softball both had a successful 3-game series against SEC rivals. All that and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Kaylann Sims. Number 6 Gators baseball secured an SEC series victory over 23 Mississippi State this past weekend. The first game of the series kept everyone on the edge of their seats when Florida was trailing by 4 through 7 innings. However, Florida managed to deliver a comeback by scoring 5 unanswered runs, ending Game 1 7-6. Game 2 of the series was not the outcome the Gators hoped for. The Bulldogs scored 11 unanswered runs in the middle innings to take control and secured 11-2 victory. Saturday's loss did not affect the Gators on the final game of the series. Trailing by 1 run in the bottom of the 9th, Jack Caglione hit a walk-off homer and the Gators secured a 4-3 victory and series win over Mississippi State. Florida will continue the action home tomorrow night against Florida A&M at 6:30. Turning to softball, number 10 Florida took home the series victory over number 17 Mississippi State this weekend. Florida fell in the series opener 13-12, but was able to pick up the energy for Game 2 and 3. Florida was able to defeat Mississippi State in Game 2 of this series 8-5. Going into the finale, Florida trailed 6-2, but was able to score 5 unanswered runs, taking the series 2-1 over the Bulldogs. This series win is the 3rd straight SEC series win of the Gators season. The Gators will take on Stetson on the road Wednesday night. Switching to March Madness, Sunday night concluded the Elite 8 round and it has been decided who will dance in the men's Final Four. 11 seed NC State will play 1 seed Purdue Saturday. Number 1 seed UConn will look to continue their reign of terror against number 4 Alabama, who have made their first ever Final Four. Despite this, Crimson Tide head coach Nate Oates says this dream has been a long time coming.
Somehow I caught enough breaks. I'm coaching in one, which is unreal. I mean, give hope to a lot of high school coaches tonight, that's for sure.
In women's March Madness, tonight will complete the stage for the final 2 teams to make the Final Four. The 2023 National Championship game rematch will pit 1 seed Iowa against 3 seed LSU and will face off tonight. The game will feature 2 first-team All-Americans, Caitlin Clark for Iowa and Angel Reese for LSU. Also tonight, 1 seed USC will take on 3 seed UConn for the other Final Four spot. Back to Gators sports, the Florida women's tennis team took home a 4-3 victory over Ole Miss in Gainesville, the 7th straight win for the Gators. Kicking off the first win of the day in doubles, sophomore Rachel Galis and junior Bente Spey defeated Ole Miss in a 6-1 win. In singles, Galis won in straight sets with a victory 6-1 in the first and 6-0 in the second. Securing the match victory against Ole Miss for the Gators, junior Alicia Dudney dropped the first set but came back with a 7-5 win. With Dudney forcing a 3rd set, she showed out with a 6-0 win. Next up, the Gators will travel to play Vanderbilt Friday. The Gators track and field teams had an exciting weekend in the Florida Relays finale. There were 5 University of Florida top 10 finishes, 17 personal records, and 7 first-place finishes for the Gators. Setting records, Filomena Asacol set a top time in UF history and in the nation this year in the women's 800 meters. The Gators will continue the action Thursday at a meet in San Diego.
And finally, today marks the first day of April, a day typically marked with some hijinks and tomfoolery, the form of harmless April Fool's pranks, as we all know. And some local city governments are joining in on the fun. Take a look at this, unfortunately joking post. The city of Newberry posted on their official Facebook today that they would be replacing all of the running water with, you guessed it, sweet tea. Just the South, you know. The witty post insists the popular beverage will be available on tap starting today as a result of a unanimous decision by the Newberry City Commission. If you see any more amusing city government pranks like this one, send it to us. Keep April Fool's Day as a reminder that you can't believe everything you read online. And what were you saying earlier?
I've heard it's going to snow this week. That's what I've got going on. Actually, it's just April 1st. Yeah, just taking a look at that weather one last time though. Wednesday, you can see we do have a strong line of thunderstorms that are more than likely bringing in some colder weather as we head into Thursday and Friday. Even seeing some 40s again, but it just sets up a beautiful weekend as you head into next weekend. Something really great to look forward to, and that's not an April Fool's joke.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that weather update. Thanks for joining us. We are back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
But your North Central Florida news is always on at WUFT.org and all of our social media platforms. Have a good night.